I have been trying all day to make a video that kind of summarizes my take on atheism this far. Now, the thing is, originally when I started Spiralvent, I wanted it to be some sort of branded take on atheism, but not in the sense of some sort of corporate power. Like I've mentioned before, I don't make money from this. Like, nobody makes money from Spiralvent. So, you know, it was some sort of willy-nilly sort of foray into atheism under the guise of some sort of, you know, make-believe company. And I've always kind of liked, you know, the idea of an entity with a logo. You know, I think the logo reflects the sort of outlook of Spiralvent as well, sort of, you know, in flux, kind of moving, you know, trying to get to some point. And that's largely what I've been doing with atheism. There's so much in atheism. There's a lot of people who write about it. There's lots of posts on Facebook about it. Like there's you know, so many people write about atheism, and so many people have an opinion on it. In Canada, however, it's a bit strange because it's a topic that, to tell you the truth, until I started doing daily videos about atheism, I can't say that I've ever really heard anyone go on at length about atheism. Like it's so, you know, I guess, you know, the way I would explain it is, in a secular country, you know, religion does not have such a huge influence on public policy, etc., etc. Now it does, you know, don't get me wrong, religion does play an important role in education and in you know, recently we had this arms deal with Saudi Arabia that's going on. So religion, and that may not be a direct, you know, addressing religion directly, but I mean, you know, we all know what Saudi Arabia is all about. I don't think it's a secret or anything like that. But in Canada, you know, because it's such a secular country, I think atheism is seen more of some sort of a fringe kind of topic. You know, because I think half of Canada's population is basically atheist. But there's still a jump you have to make when it comes to atheist or atheism. I'm not saying I belong to some special club or anything like that, but I'm saying until I started researching and talking and writing about atheism, there was this sort of subdued. It was a topic that just didn't come up all that often. Like it just did not. Even if people expressed atheism, they didn't even use the word atheist. I'm sure Sam Harris would be happy about that. But you know, atheism just doesn't come up. If you start discussing it as a subject within itself, you end up with some sort of shying away from the subject, or some sort of blurry understanding of what it is. A lot of people think it's a belief within itself, and this is coming from people who are atheists. So I mean, you know, it's weird how that comes up, and I have a feeling it's because we live in a very secular society in Canada. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, when you think about rationality and you know, the state of human affairs, as you know, within politics, like, who do you want running the country? I mean, you know, recently we've had half of the parliament that was sworn in under Justin Trudeau basically omit, you know, "In God We Trust," so help me God, from their swearing in oaths. And I mean, it's something that comes up every now and again, but it's never directly talked about. And I have a feeling it's because we live in a very secular country. It's just not as intrusive as people would think it should be in order to warrant talking about atheism as a thing. So it's difficult to say, and you know, I don't want to sort of, because I use Spiralvent as an atheist outlet, I never want to call it some sort of corporation. And to tell you the truth, I don't know if I even ever want to really make money from it. I don't think I can. I say pretty simple things, so it's not, you know, it's not like I say things that are so copyrightable. But you know, I do borrow a lot from the Four Horsemen and from atheists in the United States. You know, that's always something at the back of my mind too. That, you know, I get a lot of my inclinations from basically the United States, which is probably an unfair barometer reading of the religious climate in Canada. You know, a lot of my friends are atheists. They just never say they're atheists. They always just go on about their lives, and they never really address atheism. They think there's a lot of other stuff that influences the realm of social functioning, which is like foreign policy and you know pure politics basically. I, on the other hand, think that there's a lot of issues. I don't complain that I live in Canada. I love living in Canada. I'm just saying there's a lot of issues that come across as a topic for atheism specifically, and that comes down to education, like the Catholic School Board, etc., etc. It also comes down to issues over, like I said before, the arms deal with Saudi Arabia. There's a new office that replaced the Office of Religious Freedom. That's a point of atheism as well. I don't remember the name, what they're calling the new office under the Liberal leadership, but so I think there's a lot of topics that happen in Canada that are specifically, involving atheism, or at least a very rational and reasoned approach to why they do things. But other than that, it's pretty subdued in Canada, and you can't blame anyone for saying, "What, atheism? What's that?" You can't really blame anyone for doing that, because like I said, they think of it as some foreign realm of things, that isn't really relevant. But I have to admit, like I said, it's probably due to secularism to a large part. It's just not something we deal with in Canada. We do. It's just that we tend to think of it more on a political leaning than an atheistic leaning. Anyway, that's my video. I'm not sure if I summarized my atheism. It's, I got into this whole thing because I was homosexual, and I felt that atheism was can be used as proof that homosexual, and not atheism specifically, but science can prove specifically that homosexuality is a naturally occurring phenomenon and has occurred and will continue to occur for the rest of time. And I felt that atheism was a very good way of justifying that, not out of some hoity-toity ideology or anything like that, but just for the matter of fact that it exists. Other than that, you see a lot of atrocities around the world happening because of religion. Bangladesh kind of spikes in my mind today anyway. Not because it's related to Victoria Day, but for some reason, I think I saw a story earlier about Bangladesh and the atheist bloggers and the secular writers who get macheted basically in Bangladesh. And of course there's the obvious ones like ISIS and Al-Shabaab and Boko Haram, and these Islamist groups that just rely on the most barbaric understanding of religious doctrine to carry out their murders and their killings and their destruction, etc., etc. But even less so extremists, you'd still kind of look at countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia and Turkey and Egypt, where there's everyday sort of atrocities. The treatment of women, the treatment of gays. Besides my point being is, besides myself, there's so many atrocities committed in the world because of religion. It seems kind of almost selfish to say, for anyone else who might say that I'm homosexual, so I chose atheism. It seems too simplistic. But without getting too involved with me, I'd like to end the video now. Hopefully this is a good one. Bye.